Hi friends, I'm Scott Giles and welcome to Saturday at 2:30, the video podcast I shoot here on Facebook Live every Saturday afternoon at 2:30 Central Time, and it will later appear on my YouTube channel. Um, I'm a consulting hypnotist. I'm a life coach, uh, but I'm also a clergyman. I'm an ordained Unitarian Universalist minister in full and final fellowship. The work I do is considered a community ministry, which means I work beyond the walls of a local congregation and work with the wider culture. But I'm a deeply spiritual man and a man of faith. Because of this, I have always been interested in religious anthropology and the things that have appeared in religious communities that are tools for personal regulation, personal advancement, improvement, for becoming a better version of yourself and living a happier life. One of the simplest is silence, and that's my topic today. I decided to talk on this because I read an article in the New York Times written by Hillary Richards called Silence, Shh, It's Breakfast Time. And she talks about how she adopted the habit of eating her breakfast in complete silence every morning as a way to cope with some of the stresses of the worldwide pandemic that we're experiencing now. She cites the work of Jeannie Woolley, a teacher at the University of Massachusetts Memorial Health Center for mindfulness, and they do a program of mindfulness based upon the training of psychologist Jon Kabat-Zinn, whose book, Full Catastrophe Living, I highly recommend. His program is widely adopted in hospitals, cancer centers. It's a simple method of doing what is called in the West, mindfulness meditation or centering prayer, in the East, Vipassana meditation. The importance of having a time of silence, she found out in her day, enabled her to completely deal with the stress that she was getting from the newspaper, from TV, from the political forums in her life. And she realized that when you're eating mindfully, quieting down the exterior sounds allows you to hear the interior voice and interior sounds. And you realize how much of your consciousness is being filled up with overthinking and pointless fears, and that insight brought her peace. The research on silence, and there's been quite a bit of it, largely from religious communities, but increasingly the secular world is interested as well. The research is that the benefits of simply shutting up and being silent are very close to the benefits of a more disciplined meditation life. Physiologically, the changes that occur in the body, and neurologically, the changes that can be measured occurring in the brain during meditation, whether you're doing mindfulness or metta or transcendental meditation, and the effects that happen when you're just sitting in silence are just about identical. So really, simple silence can often substitute for meditation if meditation isn't your thing. If you don't want to sit in meditation, you can shut up. And doing that will bring you a lot of benefits. For more than a dozen years, I was in spiritual direction with a Western spiritual director, a Franciscan priest. And again, Jonathan, if you ever hear one of these videos, thank you. And one of the things that Jonathan pointed me towards in our spiritual direction work was a film called Into Great Silence. Originally in German, Die große Stille. It was created in 2005. You can find it on YouTube. It's available on all of the streaming platforms. There's no dialogue. It's entirely silent. What happened was the producer, a German producer named Philip Groening, wrote to the Carthusian monks at the main monastery in the French Alps. Now, the Carthusians maintain a discipline of absolute silence. They do not speak at all. And he asked to be able to shoot a film about their lifestyle. They responded that they'd have to think about it, and they get back to him in about 10 to 15 years. 16 years later, they did get back to him. No point rushing things. And agreed. He had to live at the monastery himself for a year, following their rule. He had to do all the shooting himself and only using natural light. It was 2 years to put the thing in post-production. So 21 years elapsed from initial contact to actual release of the film. But this movie, Into Great Silence, shows the incredible virtue that comes to people when they have silence as a normal part of their lives. In my own religious tradition, Unitarian Universalist, we go back in part to the transcendentalists of New England, people like Henry David Thoreau, Ralph Waldo Emerson. And the method of contemplation they practiced was long, silent walks. And in that walk, they weren't talking with each other, they were just communing with themselves. Something I was interested to discover that the Christian writer C.S. Lewis also did. He would routinely take long walks, and he would invite people to go with him and say, no, we must not talk. With this, we commune with ourselves. And that's what he would do. He would just spend an hour that way in silence. Now, silence is an important thing in my life, not just because the somewhat disciplined spiritual training I've had, but because it very quickly showed me benefits that enabled me to turn my life around when I had a kind of a disadvantaged beginning. I sometimes joke that my ability to live in silence is my superpower. My audiologist gets very upset with me. I wear hearing aids. All the men in my family lose their hearing. And my hearing aids actually keep track of whether I'm in a loud environment, a medium environment, or a soft environment. And when I see my audiologist, he or she downloads that data, they always say, you're spending too much time in quiet. You know, what's going to happen, the brain's going to change if you don't get some more noise in here. So I adopted the habit of when I do my exercises, I put on some really loud metal music to kind of keep my brain from turning to mush. But that data shows me that I spend a lot of time in silence and in quiet. And I think the evidence of the religious community, the spiritual communities from time immemorial, is that we all benefit from carving out a time of silence. And you can always do it. I mean, if worse comes to worse, you can lock yourself in the bathroom for 15 minutes. Silence is the space between feeling and response. If you don't have that space, the tendency is going to be to react to what you feel. That's never smart. Responding, making a response that serves you well, requires a little bit of reflection. So it's feeling, thinking, responding. And that thinking is the silence. And if you don't give it to yourself, you can be in big trouble. Google Corporation, believe it or not, actually maintains the service of a meditation master, Chade-Ming Tan. His book, Search Inside Yourself, is available on Amazon and elsewhere. It talks about the methods of mindfulness meditation and emotional intelligence that he teaches to managers at Google. And one of his major techniques, which I've talked about before, the Siberian North Railroad is the acronym. A part of that is shut up. Stop. Take the sacred pause, as he calls it. Don't just react. The great silence is an inoculation against trouble. It inoculates you against the worst tendency of your neurological system to react without thinking. And you want to have a thoughtful life. Hey, thank you for your time and attention today. I'll be back next Saturday at 2:30 Central with another talk on a different topic. If I can be of help to you, please feel free to reach out through my website, email, telephone, what have you. We do maintain a Patreon account for those who want a deeper experience of my work. And there's a lot of material available on my website as well, which I invite you to check out. Take care, stay safe.